So the new Envato Elements is here with an updated website and logo, and in this video I'm going to be reviewing all the assets on the website and giving you my honest thoughts on the different things that Envato Elements has to offer. Let's dive in.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go!
So let's first talk about the pricing and the license. So when it comes to pricing, it comes in two different ways. You can go with the monthly or yearly plan. The monthly plan is quite expensive. It comes in at around $40 a month if you want to go month to month. But if you want to pay yearly, that comes out to $16.50 a month, which comes out to $198 a year. You can see on their website, they're advertising $16.50 a month, but that's for the yearly plan. Now, if you do have a team, you can buy the team plan, or if you're an enterprise like a business, you can contact them for special pricing. Envato makes it pretty easy to license your asset. Basically, for each asset you download, which I'll show you in a minute, you can add a license to it. You can download the license with it for the project that you're working on. And this does cover commercial use. If you want to check out the full license, I will link this down in the video description if you do want to read everything here. Now let's talk about the fun stuff. So let's first start in the stock video category. I'm going to be starting there and working my way to the right-hand side. So if we look at stock video, we can navigate to it by hovering over stock video on the Envato Elements website here. There are two categories. There's stock footage and motion graphics. Doesn't really matter. You can click right on stock video. And you'll notice if we scroll down on the left-hand side, there's different categories. So if you're looking for stock footage, you can check this and only stock footage will appear. On the other hand, if you want to see motion graphics, you can check on motion graphics. And these are essentially like animations, animated elements that you can add to your projects. You'll notice that the main category is motion graphics, but underneath are separate categories as well. So if you're looking for background elements specifically, you can check on backgrounds. For example, this fire element. And to download this, you can click on this download button. And as I mentioned, you have to create a project for each asset you download to add a license to it. Or you can download without a license, but then you would have to add the license later. So for example, I can actually add this to this project that I created for this Envato Elements review. I can then click add and download to download the asset. If you need to make a new project, you can click download and create new project here to type out your project and click add and download. So that's how you download assets from the website. Going back to the filter section, there's a lot of different filters that you can choose from. Specifically under motion graphics, you can navigate elements. So these are individual elements such as like a smoke cloud or an arrow. You can also look for lower thirds as well. So if you just need a lower third graphic, you can download these. Now, a few additional filter options I did want to cover. You have resolution and frame rate, as well as length. And then some of the important filters are at the bottom here, alpha, channel, and looped. If you want your motion graphic to be looped, you can check looped. So this is very common if you need to make something run over and over again. There is also alpha channel. So if you check alpha channel, what this essentially does is includes transparency in your download. So for example, if I download this thumbs up emoji here, I can click download and place this over my video. And once you download it, you can put it right over your footage just like that. And you don't have to worry about keying out a green screen or trying to get rid of the background. It just automatically includes that with that layer. So if we scroll back up to the top, say if you want to reset your filters, you can click this clear all. We can go back into stock footage. You can also see how many assets they have in each category. So for stock footage, you can see they have over 5 million stock footage clips available. You can scroll down, and if you work in a certain industry, you can see how many stock elements there are in each category. So if you're looking for stock footage for business and corporate videos, they have over 300,000 clips in that category. You can filter down by clicking on one of them. So overheads like aerial or from the top down. Now, one thing, you can't select multiple. So that's one downside here. You can't click overhead and then city. You have to pick one or the other, which is a little limiting. So, the only real workaround around this would probably be to select city, and then from the top, you can type in aerial to get aerial footage. So you can always use the search bar from the very top to add in additional tags to search for something. All right, so that's the stock video category. I have to say they have a pretty decent library. For example, if I search for stock footage and I want, my hometown of Cleveland, they have some pretty decent options in here. The one drawback about their stock footage is some of it is kind of plain Jane. It's not that cinematic. If you compare it to like other competitors such as Artlist footage, where it's more cinematic, shot on very high expensive cinema cameras. You'll notice the difference between Envato Elements and Storyblocks versus like maybe an Artlist or an ArtGrid type of subscription. But if you're looking for just some basic B-roll to put over your projects, then Envato Elements is a pretty decent option here. But that's the stock video tab. Let's head over to video templates. Now, to be honest, I don't use their video templates that often, but they do have a lot of templates in here. And video templates, you might think of project files, but this also includes transitions, presets, LUTs. They kind of collected everything in here. For example, they have like vertical transitions here. They have cinematic LUTs. So if you're looking for something specific, this is when I would type in the search, for example, LUTs. You can search for LUTs via that way, because on the left side, it's kind of limited by the categories. They only have like elements, logo stings, openers, titles. You can't really filter by the actual specific template that you're looking for, like for example, Mogurt, transition, LUT, or a Premiere Pro preset. So it's a little confusing exactly what you're downloading, but using the search bar will be helpful if you want to search for different things. Now, if you're looking for a nice logo animation, this is where I would go if you want to find something simple and easy to use. For example, they have a lot of good logo sting animations that you can add and easily change out. For example, this one right here. I'll download this and add in my logo so that you can see how that one would look. So those are their templates. They have other additional categories down below. You'll notice that they have more After Effects and Premiere Pro projects than Final Cut, Apple Motion, DaVinci Resolve. So if you're in the Adobe Creative Suite, they're gonna have more assets for you versus the other softwares here. So that does it for video templates. We can now go into music. Personally, I don't really like their music that much. I think it sounds very corporate-y, very generic, very stock music type of sounding music. But you know, everyone has their own opinion, so I would just go on the website, browse, and see what you think of their songs. But what I like to do is get a separate music subscription that has more authentic sounding music in it, such as Artlist. A few others are like Epidemic Sound, MusicBed, where they really focus and specialize in music. But one thing that Envato Elements does have going for it is that they do have a lot of filters, and you can filter down by a lot. As opposed to the stock video tab, you can actually select a bunch of different moods and genres to really narrow down exactly what you're looking for. So for example, upbeat, energetic, then we can go down to genre. Maybe we want electronic, maybe we want dance and EDM. And then for theme, maybe we're looking for something for technology. And you can see there's a lot of different categories that you can filter down. And they have vocals as well. So for me, I like to select music without vocals. So that's an important filter for me to have. So for example, with all of those, this is an example of how one stock music would sound like from Envato Elements. This doesn't sound bad. You'll also notice that even though I have an active subscription, they still add Audio Jungle's, watermark in there, which is kind of annoying if you are trying to listen and see if it would be a good fit. So a lot of times I'll just download the song and then listen to it rather than playing it on the website. So that's just another drawback. Now, even when it comes to sound effects, if we go into the sound effects category, this is even more obnoxious because they have Audio Jungle as well in here. And since sound effects are typically a lot shorter, the Audio Jungle watermark gets in the way a lot more. So that's one thing I wish they would, for active subscribers, get rid of Audio Jungle, but it's just something we have to deal with. Now, when it comes to sound effects, they have a lot of different sound effects. I think the biggest category they have is game sounds, but I don't really have a strong opinion about their sound effects. I think they're pretty solid. It's one of the places I go to for sound effects. There's nothing wow, but there's no drawbacks really with their sound effects, so I don't really have a strong opinion either way about their sound effects. Now we're getting into the graphic design categories. So they have graphic templates, graphics, presentation templates, and this is really the difference between Envato Elements and a lot of other stock subscriptions such as Artlist, Motion Array, and then the more video-focused ones such as Storyblocks. Envato Elements is really good for the jack-of-all-trade type of person, whether you're a graphic designer, maybe you do a little bit of graphics, marketing, video work, you work for a company, those type of businesses, or maybe you're an entrepreneur or self-employed and you want assets for your website and your videos and graphics. Envato Elements pretty much has you covered in every single category, where if you look at Motion Array and a lot of the other websites, they're going to be limited to more focused on like video only or different categories such as music and sound effects. Where here they have a lot of graphic templates for designers, so you can download a lot of mockups. You can download print templates, website templates, UX, UI kits. You can even search for logos if you're looking for a simple logo for a customer. You can see supported applications. You can sort by Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, Adobe XD, Figma, Sketch, Canva. So they cover a lot of different design tools and applications here. One of my favorite places to go for graphics is inside the graphics tab. So I like to search for backgrounds, textures, icons, a lot of assets that I then use to composite and create something such as a flyer. Like these 10 paper texture graphics are pretty cool. They also have a lot of icons. If we go into their icons section, if you need something where you're creating a flyer or some type of business card graphic where you need a bunch of icons, I'd have to say Envato Elements is probably the largest repository of icons that I've found so far. So I always usually go here first when I'm looking for icons. And then they have presentation templates. So if you're presenting for a company or for a business, you're creating a pitch deck to sell to your customers, they have a lot of templates for Keynote, PowerPoint, and Google Slides. They even have photos. So if we go into the photos category, you can see they have millions of photos. And one of the filters I do like in the photo section is their colors. So if you're trying to stick with a certain color theme, you can click on a color that you'd like. And they only display photos that prominently have that color displayed in it. They have fonts, and what's nice about their fonts is that you can see kind of how it would look based on their thumbnails here. A lot of other websites don't show how it would look artistically, so this is nice that they have thumbnails that show kind of how it would be used in a design to give you more of an understanding of its capabilities. Lastly, they have add-ons, so like for Photoshop, they have brushes, actions, and presets. If you work in certain softwares, they even have web templates, which I've never experimented with, so I'm not really a web designer. Same with 3D. Their 3D elements are pretty cool, but once again, I don't really use this, so. But that's Envato Elements. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments section below. But that does it for this video. We'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.